What is poppin', fight fans? And we back, and we back, and we back. What's up, Brendan Shaw? Don't use that saying. It's mine. I'm going to copyright that, but it's all good. I respect you. We are back in the building. I know we've been off for a week or two, and we got some great fights coming up this weekend. We had some great fights the past weekend. Nick, what's up, brother?
Chilling, bro. Literally, I'm wearing a sweater in the house.
Right, it's a little chilly down here in South Florida. I
Gotta take advantage of it.
Yeah, I think it's heating up just a little bit, but whatever. We had some 40-degree weather the past 2 days. I will take that. I could wear a nice hoodie, a Mystic Black hoodie, which are for sale. If anybody's listening to this, get one of those. Merch. Get your merch. But how was your Thanksgiving? I think that was the last show that we did.
No way, that long ago?
That was that long ago, which is crazy because the last show we did, we were reviewing Deiveson Figueiredo's last fight, and now we're about to talk about Deiveson Figueiredo's
21 days later, right?
21 days later, crazy, right?
Yeah, we had actually discussed, or we were questioning if that was the fastest turnaround in a title fight, and it actually is. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, Thanksgiving was good, man. Ate a lot, of course. Did something small with the family. Obviously, this has been a weird year, not being able to get together with everybody, but, sometimes less is more.
Absolutely. Same thing over here, just smaller thing. Had two different ones, but still 4 people. Wasn't that many people. But next year, we'll be back to more normal activities. I'm sure that going to manifest that into the universe. But this past weekend, we had a change of main events like 5 times for Jack Hermansson. Sure. Poor guy had to get so many different opponents changed. But eventually, they came to a conclusion, and it was Marvin Vetorri. The match was on Saturday, 5-round main event, which was crazy for Vetorri to take on that short notice. And he came out with the victory. I was talking to a couple friends before this fight happened, and I was saying Marvin Vetorri gave Israel Adesanya his hardest test in the UFC. They went 3 rounds, and he lost to Israel by a split decision, of course. But I knew that a guy like Hermansson would be a very tough test for Vetorri, but not his toughest test. And that's why I thought he would win.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody really saw Vetorri coming out as the winner here in this fight. And he really did dominate. It was quite insane how much he outperformed, especially with such little notice. And Hermansson was, kind of climbing. Who was Hermansson scheduled to fight? I can't remember. There's been so many cancellations that
in the beginning it was Darren Till.
It was Darren Till. That's right.
Darren Till got injured. Then it was Kevin Holland. And Kevin Holland got COVID. Then it was Marvin Vetorri.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, but I'm happy for him too, because sort of begs the question, I'm sure that he would want to run it back with Adesanya. Now the question is he deserving to run it back with Adesanya after this performance, or he would need to get another 1 or 2 under his belt to get back to a title shot?
Well, a great thing for him, that moved him up 10 spots because he was ranked number 14 in the UFC middleweight division. So moving up 10 spots definitely helped him, but I think he needs maybe 1 or 2 more wins to get back to that spot because the guys ahead of him have already lost to Adesanya. And now that Yoel Romero has left the UFC, that's another person, a whole other person and topic that he doesn't have to go through anymore. So above him, I believe, are Darren Till, Robert Whittaker, and Paulo Costa. So if you can get a fight, what was that?
And Cannonier.
And Cannonier, that's right. So if you can get a fight with one of those guys in the upcoming year, he can be within a title shot reach very, very soon. I hope his next fight would be one of those guys, Darren Till, Cannonier, or Paulo Costa. I would love to see the Paulo Costa fight because these are 2 guys who are they talk a lot of shit. So the drama would be there. But Tori is a crazy person. Costa is a crazy person. I'd love to see those 2 go head to head.
No, definitely. You have to give him one of those guys. After that performance and such short notice, like I said, he's deserving, maybe not of the title shot just yet, but definitely top 5. So, you got to give him, if you can't give him the title shot right away, at least give him the path to get there.
What about Hermansson? Where do you think? Do you think that he took a big L here, or he'll still stay within the ranks of the top 10, I guess? Because he fell down to 6, but does he fight somebody lower, takes time off? Because he ended up breaking his foot, and he had a fractured orbital as well in that fight.
Yeah, that was a nasty punch. I think it was his left hook that he had gotten that from.
Yeah.
No, I think yeah, it just takes time to recover. Maybe he runs it back with Darren Till like he was originally supposed to. I don't think he falls off too much. I think he's a good fighter. Maybe he just sort of underestimated, or sometimes it's not even underestimating. It's just that when you prepare for a fight, you don't just prepare physically, but you study your opponent. And having his opponent change so many times, perhaps he just didn't have the preparation. Um, with this past experience. But I think that he doesn't fall off too far. Definitely take the time to recuperate and recover. But no, without a doubt, I don't think that he should be sliding down by any means.
Yeah, and it's crazy that he faced Hermansson faced Vetorri's teammate Kevin Gastelum on Fight Island this past summer, beat him in the first round, quick submission, then goes against his teammate and ends up taking the L. So it's crazy how the preparation goes within that, because I feel like Vetorri had already been preparing for Hermansson because he helped Gastelum prepare for Hermansson at one point. So he kind of had an advantage there, and I didn't even notice that until Vetorri was talking about certain specific people he was training with, because he used to train with London Shoot Fighters, and now he's with King's MMA with Verdum and Rafael Cordero and those guys down there. So kudos to Vetorri. I hope he gets more recognition, and he's dying to get in that EA Sports game. So I'd love to see him in that as well. A big thing from that card. Jordan, I always forget his last name. I think it's Jordan Levitt. There you go, Jordan Levitt, the Monkey King. The Monkey King, who came off of Dana White's Contender Series, defeated Matt Wiseman in with a KO of a slam. Oh my God! Within the first 15 seconds of that fight, Matt Wiman went for a takedown on Matt Wiman, and then ended up slamming him against the cage in the corner, and Matt Wiman was completely out, and he was out for a while. I'm not too cringy with certain things in MMA, because MMA, there's a lot of bloody fights, big cuts. That's okay. But I don't know. I'm starting to get a little weird with the slam. How do you feel about the slam? You think it's something that should be banned, or it's part of the sport?
Well, I mean, something that's banned is hitting the back of the head.
Correct. Right.
So, I mean, what's really the difference, whether it's your fist or your knee or the actual octagon, or the floor? It was really awkward in seeing it, because you just knew immediately that he was out. I didn't think that he was going to be out, but I suppose the way that his head hit first rather than his back initially. I mean, even Christ, what's his name? Even Jordan knew that he was out. Like, he cocked back, and then he just kind of like, no, this guy's out, and I'm glad that they called it off before he swung anymore. But I mean, I guess, that's something that you have to look into. I mean, this isn't, you can't be obviously, padding too much here, because this is a sport that people watch for the violence, at least for the most part. So banning it, I wouldn't say, but definitely, I don't know, maybe there's some sort of precautions that they can take to make sure that it doesn't happen. But I mean, at the same time, you can't, these people are fighting for their careers, for their lives. You can't really expect somebody in a split moment to think, like, make sure it's like, okay, is his back going to hit first, or is his head going to hit first? It's one thing to be like, he purposely went for like the fence and try to hit his head against the fence. It's another thing to just go for a takedown or a slam and knock the guy out like he did.
Yeah, and I didn't think about that as well. That's a good point you bring up there about getting hit to the back of the head, which is illegal. Getting slammed on the back of the head, that's not illegal. But then you have things that are like 12 to 6 elbow is illegal, which is very weird, and you need to unban that rule. But no, it was just crazy to see the slam happen. I don't think it should be banned. Of course, a lot of fighters who have experience should be able to, stop that, which was crazy, because Matt Wiman has been fighting for a long, long time. So for him not to be able to stop that was crazy. But ban, no. I know it's going to be a topic of discussion, because a lot of people watched that fight and they were very scared for Wiman because he didn't get up immediately. It's a little scary on the brain, but yeah, I don't think it should be banned, but they definitely have to figure out some certain rules, because for hitting the back of the head to be illegal and that to be legal, something doesn't add up correctly there. So I'm definitely going to agree with you on that one. But this weekend, we got a big fight. Deiveson Figueiredo, the flyweight king, is back. He takes on Brandon Moreno, the #1 ranked flyweight, in a 5-round main event for the UFC flyweight title. I am very excited for this fight. I'm excited for this card, Nick. Are you excited for this card?
Yeah, no, this card's going to be a doozy because after that, I mean, we'll get into later, but we're going to have Ferguson, Oliveira, Mackenzie Dern's coming back, Kevin Holland against Souza, Junior Dos Santos is fighting on it as well. I mean, it's going to be an exciting card. It's like, and you know what the funny thing is that I as great as the cards have been, with all the cancellations that have been going on and everything, I was really concerned that this was going to get diluted as well. But it's going to be an exciting one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got scared of all the COVID stuff. There were some fights that were canceled, but thank God none of the big fights were canceled off that card.
Yeah.
So we still have a couple of good ones. But the main event, Davidson is back. He said that his weight cut is going well. He was talking to Ariel Helwani the other day. He said he was already at 131, which is less, again, than he usually is on a fight week. That's only 6 pounds he has to cut. So he's not worried about a weight cut. He didn't take too much damage from Alex Perez. Brandon Moreno, when he fought Brandon Royval, didn't take that much damage from Brandon Royval in that fight. So these guys are kind of refreshed. They didn't need too long of a camp. But I feel like in this fight, Brandon Moreno may have needed a little bit more time to study the game of Deiveson Figueiredo, especially this past year, because he is just looking unbeatable.
Yeah, I concur. I think it's going to be the timing that's going to be his worst enemy in this, because I didn't expect these guys to, like you said, in their last fights, they didn't really get beat down too much or even hurt at all. And, for 21 days, you just kind of, I think Moreno even said that when he had found out about getting this main event shortly after his fight from his manager or his trainer, I can't remember who, he was just like, all right, let me just finish my burger and then we'll go back into the whole, weight cutting thing. So being so close, being so close from the last fight, I wasn't really expecting any problems with these guys to make weight. It kind of sucks for them because I imagine after cutting all that weight in the first time around and doing all that training that you just want to, let loose for a little bit. For 21 days, you suck it up, and especially when it comes for a title, that's just a small price to pay, in my opinion. But yeah, I think Figueiredo is just way too dangerous, and I feel that Moreno needed more time to study him, and he, unfortunately, I don't think he's gonna have the time or had the time to really be able to make an impact on this fight. I mean, it's a fighter's chance. I mean, it's a puncher's chance, but we'll see. I don't know. I don't think that's gonna happen.
One interesting fact is Deiveson Figueiredo is a big finisher, of course, submission, knockout, whatever you want, he'll give it to you. But Brandon Moreno has never been finished in his MMA career. So if Deiveson goes in there and he finishes Brandon Moreno, that's going to be huge for sure. But I don't know. I feel like I don't see it happening. Moreno's still in good shape. I think it's going to go to possibly a decision. And that's where we're going to find out where Deiveson Figueiredo really is, because the only time he's ever lost was a Jussier Formiga, and that was in a 3-round decision. And Deiveson got tired towards the end, and that was a 3-round fight. So imagine a 5-round fight. This is going to be very different. But at the same time, Deiveson goes in there. If he goes in there and he absolutely dominates him, there's not too many other people I want to see him fight in a flyweight division besides Triple C, the king of cringe, the GOAT himself. Henry Cejudo needs to come back and defend that throne. I know he defended the belt once against TJ Dillashaw, but I'd love to see him come back. I know Cody Garbrandt was in the talks, but he's clearly not healthy right now, so that's going to take some time. Henry Cejudo isn't doing much. UFC can pay him at this point. Put him in there. Yeah. If Deiveson goes in there and dominates him, he's beating everybody in flyweight already. We're going to get to a point where it's like Demetrius Johnson, where he was just dominating every single person, fighting people twice because they had nobody else for him to fight. I don't want to see that happen again. They got to reel in Henry Cejudo.
Yeah, well, they can, right? Especially with all the money they're probably saving with these cuts. I think it was 60 some cuts that they're making. If you cut 60, I'm sure you could bring back one, right?
Right, I know, right?
Yeah, that's the way that I think it's going to have to be, especially for Figueiredo, that I don't see him losing this fight. Take that as my prediction, if you will.
Take that as your what?
My prediction.
Prediction time. Yeah. Go ahead.
I don't think that. I think Moreno, obviously, he has this the talent to make this fight last. But like I said, the lack of preparation and studying his opponent, I think that's ultimately going to be his enemy. And I think Figueiredo is going to finish this one early. I don't see it going past, not early in the first round, but I don't see it going past the third. I don't see it going into the championship rounds.
I'm good. So you're riding with Davidson?
Well, yeah, of course, yeah, Davison Figueiredo.
All right. I am going to say that it is going to go 5 rounds, but it's going to be scrappy. It's going to be back and forth. It's not going to be fight of the night because I think something else is going to be fight of the night, but it's going to be a very tough. It's going to be Davison Figueiredo's toughest fight, 100%, because Brandon Moreno is just so scrappy. He's good everywhere. I don't think he's going to want to stand up with him. Davison can be taken down, which he has been in his past, but he always comes up with a submission. But Brandon's not getting submitted. It's going to be scrappy. I'm going to ride with Davison as well, but I'm going to say Davison Figueiredo by decision, all 5 rounds.
I see. Yeah, I mean, Davison, another thing too with him is the intimidation. I noticed something about Davison with all his fights is that he's constantly making eye contact with his opponent.
Yeah.
At no point is he like, and the funny thing is that his agility is so great, it gives him the confidence to lean in. Whereas most people would kind of stay back and try to figure out what's going on. Like he knows his ability or his agility is so great that he doesn't that he's going to be able to dodge whatever comes his way and yet maintain that distance, that close distance where he can really clock him and knock somebody out.
Yeah, it's almost scary, very, very scary. But speaking of scary, we got El Cucuy fighting Charles Oliveira in the co-main event. Lord, oh Lord, I am excited for this fight. I'm excited to see Charles Oliveira finally get a top 3 lightweight. He deserves it. He's been on a streak at lightweight. Tony Ferguson is back after his loss against Justin Gaethje. His first finish. That's the first time he's ever been finished in the UFC, which was crazy. And this is a big
and finished well.
Finished well. This is a very important fight for both of these guys because Tony Ferguson wins, he's right back in that title talks. Charles Oliveira wins, he's finally up there in the top 3 of the lightweight division, and he's definitely on a different side of his career because Charles has always been that guy, goes on a streak, then loses the big one. This is a very big one for him. All right, Nick, talk to me about this fight. Give me your mindset on this fight because I am excited.
Yeah, no, I think this is going to be this fight. I'm actually more excited about because I don't know what to expect out of this one as much as I do the main fight. But what I also found interesting is that in the main fight between Figueiredo and Moreno, we have a Brazilian versus a Mexican, and now for the co-main event, we also have a Brazilian versus a Mexican, or at least Mexican heritage.
Yeah.
So I thought that was actually pretty cool. But yeah, I think this is going to be a make or break type of fight for both guys. You know, I think Ferguson, especially with that, audition type weight division that it is, one of these guys is going to continue, progressing to get a chance at the title, and the other guy might dissipate. Maybe not, but I think that's exactly what it is, what's at stake here. Because I mean, Ferguson, if he loses, I mean, are you really going to continue to give him these big names, or if you, Charles Oliveira, are you going to do the same thing for him? So it's interesting, but I will say that I think Charles Oliveira is going to be. I feel like he kind of has the advantage just because like he's been so good and he hasn't really lost in a very long time. And I think when you look at the names that he has lost to, it's recognizable names. You have Paul Felder, you had Ricardo Lamas, Anthony Pettis, Max Holloway, of course. So all his losses aren't necessarily were bad losses. I mean, these were some of the best guys to do it. So I think Charles is going to continue his streak here. But I think Ferguson is also going to be desperate to get a win because I think he has more to lose than Charles does.
That's right. This is a crossroads for Tony Ferguson. He doesn't win this fight, I don't know where he goes from there. You don't want to fight anybody lower. He's beat majority of the guys that are below him. So you don't want to see part 2s of any fight. You don't want him to be the gatekeeper of the lightweight division as well. I don't want to see that happen to Tony Ferguson. And he is up there in age. I believe Tony Ferguson is 36 or 37. He's not getting younger.
Yeah, he's 36.
Yeah, 36 years old. And he kind of he was talking about his mindset going into this fight and how he doesn't have that wet dream of I need that title shot kind of thing anymore. He just wants to fight for his legacy, which is better, kind of a better mindset to have because you don't put that pressure on yourself of thinking about the title, thinking about the title. Habib. Even though he still does want that Habib fight. And I feel if he wins this fight, there's a possibility that he can still fight Habib because that fight, everybody's wanted to see. I still want to see that fight.
Yeah.
Habib would do it, I think, come back and get that 30-0, beat Tony Ferguson, a guy you're supposed to fight about 7 times and it kept getting canceled. I would love to see that fight. Charles Oliveira, what a great streak he's had. But in this fight, I feel this is not a good matchup for him. Charles Oliveira does good against guys who do not pressure him. Every single person he's fought that pressure him a lot, he's always folded. Donald Cerrone, Anthony Pettis, Paul Felder. As soon as they pressured him, he just kept folding. And Tony Ferguson is a guy that's in your face the whole entire time. So if unless Charles can get over that, or he's mentally gotten over that, or he can still stay in the pocket with somebody like that, I don't see him beating Tony Ferguson. I think Justin Gaethje was just had the perfect game plan, and not that many guys can have that kind of a power and accuracy that Justin Gaethje has. I don't think Charles Oliveira has power like that, and he's definitely not one to I'm going to strike with you the whole entire time. He doesn't do that. He's good at cutting off the cage, but you're not going to be cutting off a cage against somebody like Tony Ferguson, who's pressuring forward and towards you. I think this is going to be fight of the night. I think, oh, you know what? Let's go to it. Prediction time. I think that Tony Ferguson is going to finish Charles Oliveira, and I think he's going to do it by submission, even though Charles Oliveira is the top. He has the most submissions in UFC history. I think he'll get submitted. He's been submitted by Anthony Pettis before, and Jim Miller has submitted him as well. And I see Tony Ferguson doing the same thing.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to lean the other way. I see Charles Oliveira winning this fight simply for the fact that I think Tony's going to come into here too confident. And I think in doing so, he's going to underestimate Oliveira. And not only that, but I think he's not going to feel any pressure before the fight, nor when he gets in. But I feel as the fight goes on, maybe that's when pressure will start weighing in. Because if things don't go your way, that's like you were saying, the fact that Ferguson is at a crossroads. If for some reason he doesn't perform to the level that he has to be, I think he starts doubting himself mid-fight, which is the worst time that you could start doubting yourself. And I feel like that's going to be the case when it comes Saturday. Granted, we still have to see the weigh-ins and everything like that, but I think Oliveira takes this one simply for the fact that he has less to lose than Ferguson does.
That's another thing too. Charles Oliveira, you better make that weight, buddy. I know a lot of times he's missed weight in his career. If you look at it, I think he's missed weight 4 to 5 times in his career, which is crazy, but he'll be all right. I think he's going to make it. He looks like he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, he looks pretty fit. Coming close to the fight. I mean, it's only so 2 days away. I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, I think he'll be all right too. We got another barn burner on there. My God, this card is just amazing. Kevin Holland is taking on Jacare Souza. Kevin Holland was supposed to fight not Marvin Vetorri. Kevin Holland was supposed to fight Jack Hermansson in the main event of last week's card, but he ended up getting COVID, which he tested negative for twice after that. So it was a false positive. My Lord, I'm so confused with COVID stuff. But it was false crazy. Positive. And now he's taking on Jacare on this card 2 weeks later. This is another fight that is very important for Kevin Holland because it will just elevate him. Jacare, if he wins this fight, it'll put him back in the top 15, which is crazy to think that Jacare is not even ranked anymore in the middleweight division. This is a guy who was always in the top 5, top 3, went to light heavyweight, fought a little bit of Polish power, and just like, you know what? I'm going to skedaddle back to middleweight and see what's going on over here.
Yeah, exactly.
Nick, is this Kevin Holland's coming out party right here? Is this where he does it, where he puts it all on the line and just maybe can finish a guy like Jacare Souza, who's maybe on the ending of his career because he's older? I'm pretty sure he's about 40 years old now.
Yeah, he's 41. Souza is 41, and Souza's also he's been really inconsistent as of lately. The last when he got, and he's not fighting often either. I mean, I guess that's something that comes with age. But he fought twice last year, but he hasn't fought this year. Compared to Kevin, who has fought 4 times this year. Which is something ridiculous. Something that's gonna definitely help him in this fight. But yeah, I think this is a coming out party for him. I think that this is definitely where he will implement his name and people will start turning their heads towards him. And you know what's funny is that false positive, I mean, it sucks to get a false positive, but I think this is actually going to benefit him because people are going to be tuning in more for this, given that this is a pay-per-view.
That's right. It is a pay-per-view card. So there's going to be more eyes on the prize for Kevin Holland. I think that this is a good matchup for him in a sense of he's pretty good on the ground. Jacare, of course, is amazing on the ground. He is a BJJ world champion, but he just has not looked the same in his past couple fights. He almost looks a little bit slow. The power is not there like it used to be. And I don't know what it is. And he has to cut a lot of weight now. And he got a little big for 205. So I feel like that's going to be a little bit of an issue. You might get tired towards the end of the fight. Kevin Holland has great cardio, as he's seen in his past couple of fights. So I think this is going to be entertaining because Kevin Holland likes to scream and holler the whole entire time when he's fighting, just saying things to his opponent. So that's going to be very interesting. So this is going to be a fun one for sure. Prediction, Nick, who you got?
I mean, I think it's easy to go with Holland just because, like I said, he's fought 4 times this year already. He's won all those fights. Souza, I feel, is on his way out, unfortunately. I think it's going to be Kevin's fight, and I think this is the fight that Kevin gets people's heads turning.
Yes, I'm going to ride with the Smack Man, the Trailblazer, Kevin Holland. This is going to be one of the biggest wins of his career. After that, he probably can call out anybody he wants closer to the top. You know what? Call out Marvin Vetorri. Go for that fight because he was supposed to get that fight. And Kevin Holland would have been ranked number 5 if he would have fought Jack Hermansson and beat him. So why not put that fight together? They were ranked close to each other anyways before that. Kevin Holland call out Marvin Vetorri after that, or there until somebody doesn't matter, and he'll come back as soon as possible. You know what? If Kevin Holland wins this fight, put him on the Conor McGregor fight card because that'd be interesting and entertaining. Kevin Holland.
It doesn't seem to bother him fighting so close to his last one, so that would be great.
I see him finishing Jacare in the 3rd round of that fight. Jacare is going to get a little tired. Kevin Holland's going to put that smack man mentality on him, and he is going to come out with the win. Speaking of getting smacked, my lord, Junior Dos Santos has taken a lot of these smacks his past couple of fights. It's hard to see. I just remember watching Junior Dos Santos knock out so many guys on his way to the heavyweight championship. Guys like Cain Velasquez, Gabriel Gonzaga, Stefan Struve, big guys. And then all of a sudden, after he lost that title, he was a little bit inconsistent, losing to Stipe Miocic when he fought him for the title again. And he just hasn't looked good. He fought Gerardo Rosenstruck and didn't look great in that fight as well. Got knocked out in the 1st round. If he loses to Cyril Kane here, who's a Frenchman who used to train with the likes of Francis Ngannou, scary. I don't know. I don't see Junior Dos Santos needing to continue his career. Nick, you see him? Should he keep going, or this should be it for him? And the UFC is making a lot of cuts. Do you think they would cut him?
That's where I was going to go at right now. I don't think it's going to be his decision whether he loses. Maybe it'll be his decision, whether he continues fighting for his career, but it definitely won't be his decision whether he stays in UFC. I think with a loss here, he's going to have to fight. He's going to have to, basically fight for his career here in the UFC and get a win this weekend if he wants it to keep it going, because he just hasn't looked good lately, and especially in his last 3 fights. I mean, granted, he fought Ngannou, Blades, Rosenstruck, like those are guys that anybody's gonna have a hard time with. But who knows?
And Curtis Blades is not even a big striker. He's a wrestler, and he knocked out exactly.
Right, exactly. So I think it's definitely. I don't want to say it's gonna be his last one, but if he does lose, I wholeheartedly believe that it will be his last one for UFC, especially with all the cuts that Dana's making, or I should say UFC's making lately. I don't think they're going to want to have bring somebody back like that and just continue to sign him up for these beatdowns, and especially at such an older age.
How old is he now? Is he 30? Is he in the 30, higher 30s? Let's get a fact check on that one.
I think so. He's 36.
36.
So, but it's not so much his age, I feel, as just the amount of beatings that he's taken recently. And then if he takes a beating again, are you really going to sign this guy up? I mean, it's sort of like what happened with Anderson Silva, right? I mean, this guy's a big name and people are going to tune in to see him, but are you going to keep on wanting to put him in the position where he's just going to get annihilated and get hurt even more so? And then that's probably going to affect his health later on in life. I don't think it's worth it,
Yeah, just way too much damage for Junior. And I don't see this going too well for him unless he goes to some kind of I'm going to take you down jiu-jitsu school, which Junior Dos Santos has never done in his career.
Right.
Like I said, guys who changed their style as they got a little older. We were talking about this the other week.
It was Glover Teixeira.
Glover Teixeira. If he kind of takes that kind of a mindset of just, you know what? I'm going to try taking these guys down because I'm getting hurt too much on the feet. Maybe that might be a good idea for him. Cyril Gane is not a wrestler. He's not a grappler. He's not that kind of a fighter. put him on his ass, Junior Dos Santos, and kind of change your style if you want to continue on in your career. You stand up, it's not looking good for you, as great of a striker as you are. So if Junior Dos Santos gets knocked out in this fight, he has nothing left to prove. I hope he retires. I'm not going to tell him to retire, but I hope he retires. He's made plenty of money in the UFC. If you look at the top 10 fighters that have made the most money, top 10 fighters have made in the UFC, Junior Dos Santos is on that list. So I think he's okay financially if he's done things okay. So hopefully it doesn't happen, but I see it happening. It's not looking too good. But Mackenzie Dern is back again for the third time, I believe, this year. She's taking on Verna Jandiroba. Hopefully I said that right. If I said your name wrong, last name wrong,
Jandiroba is correct.
She's Brazilian, Jandiroba. So she is a very, very good fighter on the ground, this is going to be Mackenzie Dern's first time fighting somebody in MMA who's maybe close to being as good as her on the ground. Not to say is better, because Mackenzie Dern is a beast on the ground. She's a multiple-time world champion. She's beaten so many people in jiu-jitsu tournaments, so that's not a fun place to be. But Verna came off of her win against Felice Herrig. She finished her pretty fast. Felice has never been finished in the UFC. I don't even think Felice has been finished in her MMA career, so that was crazy to see. And Verna used to be the strawweight champion of the Invicta Fighting Championship, so she's got a lot of experience, way more experience than Mackenzie. Is this Mackenzie's toughest test to date?
Oh, absolutely. Just out of the experience alone, and the styles too. It's going to be a nice, I feel like an even style of fight. It's going to be, even in the fighting style, and the height and the weight. It's definitely going to be entertaining. And Veda is I think 15-1 or 16-1, something like that. So she's an incredible fighter. Granted, she's only had 3 fights in the UFC.
16-1.
But still 16-1, that says a lot, right? And this is definitely going to be Mackenzie's toughest test. I think she's only lost once to Amanda Ribas, which is an incredible opponent. I guess just all these Brazilian girls are, but it's going to be the toughest test, and I don't even feel comfortable necessarily making a complete prediction. Like I said, I like to make the predictions after the weigh-ins, but making a confident prediction in this fight, because I just think it's that evenly matched.
Yeah, it's very evenly matched for Mackenzie. This is definitely going to be her toughest fight. 17-1, Verna. My God, what a record! Oh, it's 16-1. Excuse me, 16-1. What a record! What experience! She's good on the ground. She's good standing up as well. But Mackenzie's been getting better in the stand-up realm with Coach Jason Perillo. I've seen her on her Instagram. She's looking good. She's looking fast. And I feel like she's going to want to show her different, that stand-up that she's been learning. She's the kind of girl that she learned something and she wants to show you, you know what? I can do this too. And I can be good at it. And I'm a fast learner, as you can see with her MMA career. But you know what I need from you, Nick? You know what I need? Let me get a prediction.
Man, that is hard. I think I'm just going to have to go with... Man...
Tough.
I feel like it is. Mackenzie's really feeling herself, as she should be. I think she's gonna have a lot of confidence going into this one. But now that I think about it, I think that could be one of those, Ronda Rousey type. Obviously she's not at that level, but that type of confidence that she had going into a Holly Holm fight, perhaps thinking that I'm just gonna keep the ball rolling here. So yeah, damn. I don't know. Convince me. Who do you think is going to win? Because I honestly, like I said, I feel like I can't confidently make a correct prediction here.
Well, I think Mackenzie's going to take it, because Verna, most of her victories have been by submission. She's not submitting Mackenzie Dern. That's not happening. No way that's going to happen. And that's usually her way of victory. I think Mackenzie's going to show her hand speed here. She's going to show how good her striking has evolved. I think she's going to hit her with something nasty and then even submit a girl like Verna. So I'm going to ride with Mackenzie on this one, because I think
I'm going to go with you just simply for the fact that I'm having a hard time deciding between these two, because I still even after hearing that, I'm still not convinced. But I'll go ahead with Dern. I think it's probably the safer bet, given her streak and how well she's been performing lately, and just You could see it too. Like when you look at these fighters, their Instagrams and their social media, and you see their attitudes heading into fight week. It says a lot when people, you see that they're not really nervous about it, that they're feeling good, they're looking good as far as their conditioning and their dieting. So yeah, Mackenzie looks happy as ever. So perhaps you're going to be right.
We don't know. Final predictions will be made Saturday morning or Friday, whenever we usually drop them.
Exactly.
But we'll see on that actual date. But we got some concerning things happening with the UFC right now. All these COVID cancellations, Jesus Christ! Every day or 2 to 3 times per day, we'll get a notification on our phones. ESPN, somebody's out because of COVID. Somebody's out because of COVID. UFC has done a pretty good job this summer. They put on the most events. They haven't had too many COVID issues. What are they doing wrong? Is there something? Do they need to have a bubble like the NBA does, like have the fighters in there 2 weeks ahead of time at the apex? Or is it just because the season's changing? Or is it because the numbers are naturally going up right now because people are not wearing masks, et cetera, et cetera?
Right. No, not only that, but the gatherings of Thanksgiving. The COVID isn't something that, at least from what we've read and seen on the news, it's not something that you get right away. It's not like, okay, like I was with somebody with COVID, I have it right now. Sometimes it doesn't show up until like a day or two later. So I think maybe it has to do with the fact that we had Thanksgiving, you have gatherings, you have people who are getting a bit impatient with, with the, how should I say this? With, I suppose, being considerate or just listening to the recommendations of what not to do and everything like that. I think that goes in hand. But I don't think it's necessarily something wrong that UFC is doing, because we haven't had this issue. I mean, prior to these upcoming fights, we weren't really seeing these issues come about often, at least not in the UFC. So it must be something in the water, because it's just sort of crazy, like how it's been back to back to back. So I don't know what they need to do. Maybe they need to, like you said, maybe it's like you got to fight. You got to come here to the Apex 2 weeks ahead of time. You got to quarantine. I know it's a big sacrifice, but you know what? Other people have done it, and it's Vegas. It's not Abu Dhabi where you have to, be so far away from your family, at least for the domestic fighters. For the international fighters, I mean, 2 weeks is a lot. But if you're willing to do it in Abu Dhabi, why not do it here in Vegas too?
I'm actually surprised it wasn't higher throughout this whole time period, because MMA is a sport. You're touching bodies, you're sweating all over each other. There's so much germs that is happening. I'm surprised the number wasn't higher. So the fact that these cancellations are happening right now, it's not surprising. There might be more going forward, depending upon when the vaccine comes, depending on how the vaccine works. We don't know. Yeah. So many questions, as we still do have about this virus every day. Yeah,
we got a lot. Just because it gets released here doesn't mean that it's going to get released in Brazil or in these other countries.
We don't know that. Some countries might get it before us. We don't know that. We don't have the answer to those questions. But just like Angela Hill said, Angela Hill was just like, "Listen, I did everything I can to not get this virus, but MMA is a very touchy sport. Somebody had it in the gym, or it got there somehow. She felt fine. She feels fine. Majority of MMA guys have been okay." After they had the virus, minus Leon Edwards, who took like a big, that killed him pretty bad. He lost 12 pounds in 2 days. He wasn't feeling very well, lost a taste of smell. It's just so weird, because they keep saying, oh, if you're healthy, you're going to be fine with the virus. That's not very true. MMA guys are probably the healthiest guys, the most in shape guys in the sport, in the world, and athlete wise. So I don't think it matters how healthy you are. It can affect. But
it's not a one size fits all type sickness. It affects everybody differently.
Exactly. So I don't know. I think it could have been higher, but we don't know at this point. But speaking of Leon Edwards, his fight against Khamzat has been canceled. No, we were looking forward so much to this fight. I felt like we talked about this fight every other day or every other podcast. That's how excited we were. Leon ended up getting tested positive for COVID. Even though people kept spreading this rumor that Khamzat tested positive for COVID, but that was wrong. It was Leon.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird too, I remember, I thought that the fight was canceled because of Khamzat, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, he has it, or no, he doesn't have it. Don't believe it, fake news, whatever you want to call it. But then all of a sudden Edwards gets it, and it's just kind of like, man, that's just fitting, Edwards and 2020 were not meant to happen, apparently.
Seriously, that it's just no fights this year, which is gonna suck. That's gonna be almost a 2-year layoff for him when he comes back.
Yeah.
They're trying to reschedule that fight, I believe, for later January or February. I don't think it's gonna be a main event anymore. It should be a main event, but I don't think it's going to be.
Of course.
Stephen Thompson and Jeff Neal is going to be the main event now, but it sucks that this fight's not happening anymore. Even though that card is so stacked, it's still stacked. I think there's 16 fights on that card, which is holy crap, man. Like usually the UFC has like 12 fight cards or something like that. This is 16 fights. Is every fight going to happen still? I don't know. COVID's crazy.
We got to get there, right?
We got to get there. We don't know what's going to happen. We might even have a different main event when we get to December 19th. We don't know, which is wow. December 19th is next Saturday. That's wild. Christmas is right around
exactly. It's not even that far away.
Right around the corner. But you think Khamzat should maybe take a fight before that date?
Yeah, why not? I like to see him smash some guys. You know, like he's. I mean, I don't think he's going to be bothered by it. I mean, yeah, I'm sure he wanted somebody as highly ranked as Edwards, but I mean. That's the great thing about Khamzat. He takes on anybody. You just tell me when and where is basically his attitude, and that's why he's had such a quick success in the UFC, because I'm sure Dana takes a lot of liking to that, as do the fans. So I see him fighting beforehand, especially the fact that we're probably not going to see Edwards anytime soon. If Khamzat's next fight goes like his last ones have, I mean, he's not going to need time to recover or anything. He's like, yeah, you know what? You keep on recovering. Meanwhile, I'm going to keep smashing, and I'll see you when I see you.
That's right. If you're going to keep beating guys like that, not take any damage, why not take a fight? Screw it. Do that. Do one.
At this rate, take two.
Take two, exactly, because Lord knows when we're going to see Leon Edwards. So speaking of smash, oh, God, somebody's going to get smashed in boxing or whatever the hell this is.
Oh,
this
my God.
Of what's happening.
That's a circus is what it is.
Circus. Floyd Mayweather puts on his Instagram, Mayweather versus Logan Paul. I want to say Jake, my bad. Logan Paul in a special exhibition February 21st. I saw that. I'm just like, this is bullshit. This is not going to happen. This is like the same time when he announced McGregor Part 2. It didn't happen. But as soon as he announced it, you can buy the fight already. So this is really going to happen. But it's a special exhibition. Nick, Logan Paul is 200 pounds. Floyd Mayweather is 150 pounds. What kind of event is this going to be? Is it going to be similar to Tyson Jones or
a shit show, man? It's going to be like I can't even say that like Tyson and Roy Jones, like at least like you get two guys that are similar size, similar age, and similar experience. Like we're talking about experience here. You want to get the guy who's Mayweather's what? Hey, he's 49-0 or he got that 50-0 against McGregor, right? Or was that the 49-0?
He got the 50-0 against McGregor.
You got the 50. So you got somebody that's 50-0, and then you're going to be fighting some YouTube guy, or I don't even know what the appropriate term for him is. I mean, I'm happy for this for this Paul guy, because he's gonna get paid probably a shit ton of money. Probably
he's already got a lot of money.
No, I know he's already got a lot of money, but I mean, McGregor had a lot of money until he fought Mayweather. Then he knew what a lot of money was. Like he used to think that like, oh, I'm getting like all these tens of millions at UFC. It's like, hey, do me a favor, spare me an hour. I don't want to say an hour because obviously there's months of training behind it, but give me an hour of your time in the ring and make $100 million. And Conor McGregor's, I mean, I don't think Paul's going to be making that money. I don't know what the exact deal is, but I mean, this is a shit show. This is exactly why I keep losing faith or keep losing interest in boxing. I know that Serge has got a bunch of guys. Check out Serge, guys, on the Fight Podcast, by the way. I know he's got a lot of reasons for people to tune into boxing and everything, but this is the type of, just outlandish events that turns me away even more and more.
As much as I don't want to watch it, I'm probably going to watch it. But just like Dana White says, if you want to see the state of boxing, this is the state of boxing right here. We have a reality YouTube star taking on
exactly
the greatest boxer of all time. I don't know what kind of bullshit this is. I don't want to see it. I think it's going to be some kind of situation to where Floyd Mayweather is wearing some kind of like headpiece on his head, or Logan Paul is. I don't know. They're different in weights. It doesn't make any sense. I know Logan Paul's not going to cut 40 pounds to fight Floyd Mayweather. That's not going to happen. He's a bigger human being. So I don't see that happening. I think it's going to be a circus. Sure, people go ahead and buy it. I'm going to stream it illegally. I'm saying it right now. If you need a link, hit me up.
There's
I'll
no
send
way
you.
that I'm spending money on that garbage, man. Like honestly,
Dance. And
and you know what? I can see exactly what happened because this is another thing too. Somebody brought up the point that's like, oh, what if he lands a punch and he knocks out Mayweather? First of all, I don't think it's gonna count. Secondly, that's not gonna happen because I feel like the result is already written in stone, right? When these guys got together, I can see Mayweather there, with his head bobbing, like, all right, this is the way it's going to go down, bro. We're going to come out. You're going to take a couple hits at me. I'm going to run away, and I'm going to knock you out, and we're both going to get paid. And that's exactly what's going to happen. So save yourself the money. How much are they charging for this thing?
right now, if you buy it, there's an early bird special. It's like
there's a discount?
Yeah, the discount. It's like $25 right now. But then if
That's
you wait,
$25 too much.
I know, right? But if you wait, then it's $55. And if you wait even more, it's like $100. So they have some kind of situation going on with that. I think it's ridiculous. It makes no sense. It's good money grab for them because a million people watch Logan Paul take on some video game guy in KSI. A million people tune in to watch that. And they sold out the freaking Staples Center in California. I don't even know.
That's what we live in now. Those are the times that we live in. Like we used to not think of e-gamers as athletes, and technically they are now. I mean, I don't know exactly what he does. I don't know if that's what he does on YouTube, if he does gaming or if he just does funny videos or whatever. I'm not really caught up with that.
Some controversial things. He's done some controversial things on YouTube.
Oh, Jesus, I don't even want to know. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just the old man in me that like, what are you kids watching these days? I don't know. Like but I mean, I think that there's definitely going to be an audience simply for him. People are probably looking at this and saying like, oh, what's it? Jake Paul?
Logan Paul. This one.
Logan Paul. Is there a Jake?
He's the one that knocked out Nate.
Okay. Oh, okay. So then they're going to be like, oh, Logan Paul's going to fight some guy named Mayweather. I'm sure that's the majority of what the youth is. I mean, we're part of the youth, but like the younger ones than us are saying. And they're like, who's Mayweather?
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's literally the craziest thing. But that's the state of boxing. If you guys want to tune in, go ahead. It's going to be weird. This is why MMA is kicking ass right now, because they're actually giving you fights. We're not giving you circus events. So, I don't know. But speaking of weird things, Yoel Romero was released by the UFC this week, which was maybe last week. It wasn't this week. Was it last week or this week?
It was this week, I think.
This week, yeah. We get that big news that Yoel parted ways with the UFC. He had 3 fights left on his contract, which is wild. Yoel was in that top 3 of the middleweight division. Nick, do you see Yoel signing somewhere? Well, before he even signed somewhere, did this news surprise you?
Yeah, absolutely. It surprised me because I think Yoel Romero is still a great fighter. I think he's a bit silly. I think he's a bit wacky. I mean, his last fight was that garbage performance against Israel Adesanya, right?
Yeah, that was his last fight, and we haven't seen him.
I mean, that's his last fight. So, like, I guess when you have
Uriah Hall, and then that fight didn't happen, and they didn't announce why it didn't happen. Which is kind of I'm skeptical of that, but
that's what I'm saying. Something must have happened behind the curtains because I don't see how you let go of a talent like that, unless, of course, because of his attitude. I mean, you have somebody. It kind of reminds me of like Hassan Whiteside, right? You have this insurmountable amount of talent, but below grade attitude, and maybe that's exactly what happened because, or that's what it has to be. That's what it has to be because, I mean, for him to already have had, it's not like, oh, okay, I got one more fight left. It's like, just cut our losses while we're there. No, 3 fights. He had 3 fights left and they still cut him.
Yeah, 3 fights. I mean, that's weird. And for him not to fight one more time this year, he only fought 1 time this year, which was against Israel Adesanya. And that was all the way in March. That was right before the shutdown.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so very weird to see that.
The people pay pay-per-view.
I love you, boy.
He's in my life.
I'm gonna miss him a lot. That's for sure. I'm gonna miss him in the UFC, but I can kind of understand why the UFC wouldn't keep him because he gets paid a shitload of money. He's 44 years old, I think. Who knows what his real age is? He's 44 years old.
Certificate.
Right? He's 44 years old. He looks good, but he'd take out any other guy that would try to get in that top tier of the middleweight division. So the UFC is trying to get behind like a lot of the younger guys. And I think Bellator is trying to do the same thing too. And for them to be paying a guy like Yoel Romero almost $1 million every fight And for him to have 4 different title shots, he's fought for those titles 4 times. 2 of those times, he didn't make weight. It's another thing, too. So who knows if he can even make middleweight anymore. If he wants to make middleweight anymore, he's getting older. That's not good for the liver. That's not good for the body. So where does he go? Where does he sign, Nick?
I mean, I gotta imagine with all these cuts, Bellator is just lining up to get all these like UFC fighters. But that's the funny thing about Yoel Romero. You would think that he'd be signed by now, and that also says something. You know, like the fact that people aren't really like, you know, pushing forward to get their guy into their what's it called? Their promotion. You know, like I think it says a lot. There's got to be something there. Who knows? Maybe there's some sort of steroids kind of thing going on too. That
another thing, you see the Yair thing, that Yair was quiet. All of a sudden, something came out. He's banned for 6 months. Yeah. I don't know. And the UFC does not have to release that information when somebody's suspended.
No, they don't. And but I mean, maybe it's just because, you know, we're down here in Miami. I grew up around it, especially like with baseball and everything like that. Like that, you see these. You know, this is almost like the mecca for steroids. And then you also got to look at the culture too, you know, like that relaxed Caribbean culture, more so Cuban culture, Cuban American culture, that, you know, we people tend to like just brush off things, you know, or sweep it under the carpet. Maybe there's something that's going on there because like I said, for Bellator or any of these other promotions, I mean, who knows, maybe Bare Knuckle will pick them up, which that would be actually really cool to see now that I think about it.
Yeah, and I think Bare Knuckle's got a lot of money because a lot of people they've been signing, like
they've been signing a lot of people.
They signed Frank Mir, like they definitely must have some good amount of money or that they're paying their fighters. And I would love to see the salaries that these guys are getting because for Bare Knuckle to sign big names like that, And I think
not only that, but I think Bare Knuckle is also a type of organization. I mean, I don't want to, you know, I'm not saying that they're bad for it or anything. But like I feel like they're the type of organization that like they kind of look the other way if there was some sort of, you know, fishy thing going on, but at the same time, it's entertaining to us. So, I mean, I'm still gonna tune in and stuff like that. I don't care. A lot of these people are already past their prime. They're older. They're gonna need the extra help with performance enhancing drugs and whatnot. So, I mean, have at it. If that's it, like, granted, this is all speculation. He could be totally clean, and I'm just, you know, speaking out of my ass. But if that is the case, I mean, that would be a good route for him. I mean, where did Verdum go now?
He went to PFL.
PFL, that's where he went.
43, and they signed him with ease.
Yeah, well, I mean, Verdum was still getting it done. Like he still looks good, you know, even at 43. But yeah, I think Bare Knuckle would actually be pretty good for Yoel, especially the fact that they have a lot of events here in Florida.
Yeah, and it'll be local for him. He doesn't have to go too far, travel too far. I'm sure they'll pay him enough, and I'm pretty sure his team at First Round Management have a really good relationship with David Feldman at Bare Knuckle. So that might be something that they're going to announce soon. Malky Kawa was tweeting. He's like, wait till I get this deal done. I feel like it's going to be something either Bare Knuckle or Bellator, one or the other. Not sure which one it's going to be. And can you imagine Yoel Romero goes to Bellator and he faces their new signee and Anthony Johnson, who's signed with Bellator out of surprise. What the hell? We were talking about AJ a couple times on a podcast, and we're thinking, can't wait to see him in the UFC. Him versus Rakic, against Polish Power, all these guys we were like lining him up against. And he goes and he signs with Bellator, and he still had fights on his UFC contract. They parted ways. Mm-hmm. Why did Anthony make this decision? Do you think it's something? Because I'm not, and once again, this is a speculation. Anthony blew up pretty big after he retired from MMA. Mm-hmm. Then he took his time before he went back in the USADA pool, which I don't know if he really went back into the USADA pool. Not sure that since he signed with Bellator. Bellator does not drug test their fighters the way that the UFC does. You think it had something to do with that? I'm not saying Anthony Johnson is on steroids once again, but you think that has a reason, or maybe like a TRT thing because he's an older fighter?
I think it has to do with money. I mean, I don't know how much he's getting paid, but I feel that when you have a promotion that's not as big as UFC, you're going to have to lure people and incentivize them to come join your promotion rather than UFC. And obviously the easiest way of doing that is paying them more. So I think that, I mean, like I said, I don't have any official numbers. That's just speculation again on my part. But I mean, if he can get more money and he can get easier fights, so to speak, with Bellator, and instead of coming back after such a long retirement into UFC and fighting the best of the best, you know, he could be in another promotion where he's getting paid more heavily, and he's also has more probability of winning these fights because Bellator, at least in that weight division, they don't really have that much competition for him.
Yeah, and besides them paying him more money, another thing they have that UFC doesn't have is that he can put promos on his shorts, and he can make money that way, because
That's
UFC
true. That's
is
right. The endorsements.
The endorsements and sponsorship. He can definitely get a lot of those. He's a big name. He puts those on his shorts. He's making more money. UFC, you have the Reebok deal where these guys are getting $5,000, $10,000 per fight. And then they have the Venom deal coming up. And I think it's going to be the same exact thing. So I feel like a combination of those two things definitely pushed him more towards the ranks of Bellator. Do I think that he has better competition there? No. I'm pretty sure they're going to give him a title shot off the top against Nepkov, who's scary. But that'll probably be his biggest competition. He's already beat Phil Davis. He's already beat Ryan Bader. And I couldn't even tell you another Bellator light heavyweight. I'd be lying if I knew somebody else that was on that roster that's the light heavyweight class. So, or to be honest, we don't know. He might fight heavyweight because he's a pretty big guy.
Yeah,
so maybe,
why not? And they have no limitation on their heavyweights either.
No limitation. And guess
so eat it up, bro.
Guess who's a heavyweight champion of Bellator? Ryan Bader, somebody he's already beaten. So he can be a dual champion here for sure. There's a lot of opportunity. I'm actually a little bit excited thinking about it. That'd be good for Anthony Johnson. He's a guy who's never won a title in his career in any organization that he's been in. He's never won a title. So
this is probably maybe this was the best route for him to win a title. I mean, and the title's a title. Like, I don't want it to be diluted. I don't want people to dilute it just because it's Bellator. I mean, to win a title, you got to beat a lot of people, and you got to not only that, but to maintain a title, it takes a special amount of talent. So good for him. I mean, I'm not mad about it. And especially, like I said, with all these cuts going on and everything like that, who knows? Maybe he's sort of seeing like the treatment of certain UFC fighters, and he says like, look, like I'm not spring chicken anymore. I don't know if I'm going to be able to perform, and are they going to just cut me loose at the chance that I have a bad match? So maybe that has something to do with it too.
Yeah, and I'm totally tuning in. And any Anthony Johnson fight that's happening, I'm watching
absolutely.
that. It's going to be some kind of a KO. So I'd be excited to see him. Rumble, go Rumble. Good luck to Anthony Johnson in Bellator. We're excited to see it. Hopefully not crazy drama there with that, or for Yoel as well. No drama there as well. I hope he signs somewhere probably within this week or next week. They'll probably make an announcement right after we're done with this podcast.
Yep, probably. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna Google right now.
Google it just in case. But while you're looking up that drama show, we got a drama show with this man, James Harden, in the NBA. My God, where is he going to end up? What is going on, Mr. Harden? Nick, do you see him going back to the Rockets? I know he reported for training camp, but the night before he reported for training camp, he was at the strip club not wearing a mask. So the odds of him testing positive for COVID are probably pretty high. So do you see James Harden returning to the Rockets, or somehow figuring out a way to get to another team? Because Golden State doesn't want him anymore. Brooklyn's not trying. I mean, the 76ers are not trying to give up any of their stars. You think it's possible for him to get there? To get to any other team, not just there?
I think it says a lot when you have a talent like James Harden does, and people aren't lining up out the door to sign you. I think this is a guy who is of an MVP caliber, a guy who has multiple 50-point games. But I think the biggest deficiency that James Harden has is that he thinks he's a leader when he's not. And we've talked about him before. I think that he's the type of person that for him to win a championship, he's going to have to be a very close second to whoever's the top guy on that team. And I don't think he's somebody with the open-mindedness to accept that. And with reason too, because when you're that good, it's kind of hard to believe that like anybody else is better than you. But just his attitude, like you said, like the fact that he's at clubs, that he's out partying and everything like that when everybody else is showing up to camp, it says a lot. So it's not going to be a resounding endorsement for when you want to make a case that you want to leave somewhere, you kind of want to incentivize people as to like, bring me in because this is what I bring to the table other than my scoring. And then people are seeing like, his behavior and they're saying, do I want that? I mean, Miami supposedly was just added to Miami and Milwaukee were added to his list of preferred destinations. But I mean, can you imagine James Harden down here in Miami? not only getting in the way, but of everything that we've built up to now. But just imagine James Harden in the same place where you have 11, where you have Tootsies, where you have Scarlets, where you have Liv. You know, I don't think King of Diamonds is open anymore, but like just like the fact that we are the mecca of that. I mean, I'm sure he would be happy to be here, but I wouldn't want him here. Like that says a lot for me as a Miami Heat fan to say like pass, no thanks. I think it says a lot.
I'm surprised that he's having this attitude issue, like wanting to get traded and just still going places and not really caring about that. And not just only in a standpoint of like the NBA or being on a team, but just your own personal health and your own personal, just like not wanting to get COVID. Who wants that? I don't want that. Like if anything I could do, I want to stay as far away from COVID as possible as a human being. So that's just weird to see. And that shows you a lot about him as a human being. But I know he expanded the list. The Houston Rockets says he needs 6 consecutive negative tests in order for him to practice with the team. I don't think he's going to practice with the team. I feel like he's going to sit on the sidelines. And to be honest, the Houston Rockets didn't do much in order to keep him there as well. They traded Westbrook off. Not to say they were getting along on the plate on the court. They brought in John Wall. Who knows if he's going to stay like injury free this whole entire season? He's coming off of serious knee issues. We don't know what's going to happen there. So him going back to the Rockets, they didn't really add too many people. DeMarcus Cousins, another guy, injury prone. And I don't blame Harden for wanting to go on the East Coast because the West Coast is very tough and it's not getting easier. It's not getting easier at all. So I don't blame him for wanting to go East. And I think the 76ers can pull something together to get Harden. And I do like Harden on the 76ers. That would work very well, better than him.
I think that's his best fit for sure.
Yeah, him on the Nets, 3 guys that need the ball in their hands wouldn't make sense.
No,
him on the 76ers, Ben Simmons, guys who can handle the ball. Same thing with oh my God, Embiid can handle the ball as well. He's a guy who moves around, takes the ball down low. Harden can give him that ball or create that space for him. I prefer him to go there. 76ers could put traded together.
And they just got docked.
Yeah, put Tobias Harris, maybe throw him in there, like 2 other guys and like 2 other picks. They can do it. I think it's possible. I just don't think that James Harden's attitude is helping him in any standpoint. So do I see him with the Rockets still? Yeah, because of his attitude, unfortunately, but it's going to be a weird and tough year. And maybe halfway through the season, he'll get traded or something. And it's wild. Nick, Sunday, preseason. We're already here.
Holy shit, we're there. Damn, that's, I completely forgot about that. Because I'm thinking about just the Christmas games. But yeah, preseason, that's true. Like, that's absolutely wild. Like, he's really not making a good case for himself, man. Like, and it sucks because I would think that if I desperately want to get out of a situation, and he's within the right to get out of that situation, because Houston, I mean, there's only so much. They kind of remind me of the Clippers back when they had CP3, Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan. It's like you have this potential, right? And then you never get to it. So I could see why he wants to get out, but he's definitely not helping himself, man. And it's kind of crazy that like people aren't lining up out the door for that type of talent. But it's just
crazy to see. Oh, did you see the ESPN top 50 NBA player list, which is crazy?
I haven't seen it, but I stopped looking at that. I remember they put Kobe a couple years, not the last year of his career, but like a couple years, like I think the penultimate, or if not the year before his career was done. They put him somewhere ridiculously up in like the 20s or near the 30s, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna stop reading these lists.
They have Giannis at 27.
No, get the fuck out of here, right? Excuse me, everybody.
At 27, it's okay.
That was sheer shock. That was just sheer shock.
27. They had Giannis. They got Bill Walton at like number 15 or something like that, which is wild. Not to say Bill Walton wasn't a great player, but number 15, I could name 20 players better than Bill Walton off the top of my head. Like, get out of here. That is crazy. And the biggest mistake they made, LeBron James was at number 1. What the hell are they doing? Who's this Michael Jordan guy?
Oh, come on. But that's like, that's always going to be the biggest debate, right?
Of course. No, I'm not going to argue that. But the 27 Giannis.
That's a debate that you don't want to get into. That's an endless abyss of just people spewing garbage out to each other. It's honestly like whatever you guys believe, just stick to it and keep it. Like, oh my goodness, I feel like I'd rather talk politics than who's better, MJ or LeBron.
It's end this conversation, correct? But that list is absolutely absurd. If you guys haven't seen it, go check out that ESPN top 50 player list. It wild.
It sounds almost as good as that Mayweather Paul fight.
Yeah, don't want to see it. Exactly. But guys, we appreciate you, of course, for always tuning in. We're back. We'll be back next Thursday for sure to preview that card on Saturday. There's so much to talk about on that card. There's so many fights on that card.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many fights this Saturday coming up. Tune into that pay-per-view event. You don't want to miss that. What else? I got my merch. Check the merch out on the page. I'm going to put it on my YouTube page as well, so you can see it everywhere. Putting orders in tomorrow, or I can extend it a little bit if people need time. I can extend it before putting in the orders. That's fine, but check that out. Got hoodies, got hats, got shirts, got tank tops, got so many things. Check that out. MMA Island. I got an interview today with Carlos Diego Ferreira. That's going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Check that out. That's going to be on there. Nick, floor is yours.
I'm just happy that we're getting a good card this weekend and that we're finishing out the year strong. 2020 cannot end soon enough. Jesus Christ. This has been a really weird year. I just want to get back to some sort of normalcy. It looks like we're going that direction, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, everybody, check out your merch just in time for Christmas, just in time for these cold fronts, especially us down here in Miami that we don't get a chance to wear these hoodies. There's some nice looking hoodies, guys. Go ahead and cop some because I'm definitely going to cop myself one.
Hace fucking frío outside. It's definitely cold. You need that hoodie.
Hace fucking frío, bro.
Hace fucking frío,
Dígame, brother, hace un fucking frío, bro. Esto no pasa en Cuba.
I don't know what Nick said, but yes, I agree. Just kidding. Guys, have a wonderful weekend. Check those fights out. Check out basketball on Sunday. So many good things happening. If any news break, I know we got basketball back already. It's so fast. We got football and basketball.
I guess that was one good thing about coronavirus is that we had basketball pretty much back to back.
Exactly. We're about to have 2 NBA championships in a matter of like a year. I guess I want to say about a year, which
9
is
months,
wild.
practically
9
like a
months,
baby almost.
2 NBA championships. But you know what I say? Go Lakers. See you guys next week. Tune in. This will be on Spotify, all the Apple Podcasts, everywhere, YouTube. Tune in right after. We appreciate you guys. We are out. Boom.
Go Heat.